You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
I'm back. Rodrans for Black and White Sports. Let's talk about Chris SIMMS and his Unbuttoned podcast. It is a podcast that I listen to a lot. I highly recommend people go subscribe to it. I like Chris SIMMS. Former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, little cup of coffee, I think, with the Broncos, the Giants. Played at UT right here in Texas. And, of course, his father is Super Bowl winning quarterback Phil Simms. Now, Chris SIMMS co-hosts Pro Football Talk, a show I still watch, even though at times Mike Florio cannot keep from spending sometimes 2 or 3 segments at a time on the coronavirus. He is one of the leading corona bros out there, as Clay Travis would say. But look, I enjoy when they talk football. They're arguably the best in the business when they stick to football. And Chris SIMMS, I really enjoy his Unbuttoned podcast because he just keeps it to sports. He talks about football. There's nothing added, no politics, nothing like that. He's simply talking about the games. Him and Florio pick the games together. Later in the week, it'll come out and be available tomorrow. And look, even though there's a lot of issues I've got with the NFL, I still like to hear people talk about the NFL. Okay, and Chris SIMMS, as you would expect from an ex-quarterback, talks a lot about quarterbacks. Now, one of the things before the season that's kind of become a thing for Chris SIMMS is he unleashes his quarterback top 40, his top 40 quarterbacks in the NFL. And before the season, he came out, and Drew Brees was 16, Tom Brady was 15. You know, ridiculous. Personally speaking, I think that's ridiculous. At least with Tom Brady, okay? Now, Tom Brady did not have a lot of weapons. We're seeing that with Cam Newton right now. Look, Pro Football Focus last year and this year both, the New England Patriots have the worst receiving core in football. No doubt about it. I'm a huge Bill Belichick fan. I think he's the greatest coach ever. But for the last 10 years, his drafting record is awful, and he cannot hit water if he fell out of a boat when it comes to wide receivers. Okay, so that affected Tom Brady. And in the offseason, Tom Brady said, well, I'm going to go to a team that's got a ton of weapons. He brought Gronk back. He's got Antonio Brown now. He's got Chris Godwin. He's got Mike Evans down in Tampa. Another tight end. Cameron Brake is a good one. And, of course, Big Ben was hurt last year, right? And Chris SIMMS came out with his top 40. And that's where Drew Brees and Tom Brady was ranked, 16 and 15 respectively. And I think it's ludicrous to have Tom Brady that low. Okay, now at the time we had this channel, but it was not big enough to really come back and address an issue like this. The channel's big enough now, period. Okay, it's got just as much reach on YouTube as Chris SIMMS Unbuttoned does, okay? That's just a fact, all right? Now, you can go subscribe to it, NBC Sports. I'm sure Chris SIMMS will see this video, and he'll be like, well, this fucking redneck don't know what he's talking about. But look, Chris, you know, I've got respect for your opinions, but I don't necessarily agree with how you evaluate the way you're ranking these quarterbacks. And today, I listened to his newest podcast, the SIMMS Midseason Top 10. He updated his list, just the top 10, okay? And what he looks at is things like mobility, the quarterback itself, arm strength, and the oddest thing, less emphasis on completion percentage. Wins and losses aren't really a part of it, which is baffling to me, because to me, your legacy as a quarterback is absolutely locked on to your wins and losses. your championships. And look, he takes in just what's happened so far this season. That's fine, Chris Simms. That's fine. But to have this list come out today, and I was listening because I was like, Chris Simms, are you dare going to leave out Tom Brady out of this top 10? Are you dare going to leave out Big Ben Roethlisberger out of this top 10? Well, before they even started, Paul Burmeister, who hosts the show with Chris Simms on his podcast, he asked about Big Ben, and Chris said, Big Ben's not in my top 10. Okay. Really, I was like, well, this list better knock my damn socks off for me not to do a video on it after the fact. Now, he goes through the list. We get to 8. We get to 9. Justin Herbert is the 8th best quarterback in the league. And Joe Burrow's number 9, according to Chris Simms. Now, if you think I believe that's strange, I do when you consider the fact that Ben Roethlisberger and Tom Brady, neither one made his top 10. Where are they, Chris Simms? Ben Roethlisberger is 9-0 this season. 22 touchdowns, 4 picks. Tom Brady is 7-3, 23 touchdowns, 7 picks, and 6 of those interceptions are in 2 games, I think. The Saints, both Saints games, and look, I understand those were big games, but he's 43 and he has played his ass off with what looks to me like no real loss in arm strength whatsoever from Tom Brady. And I cannot believe, Chris Simms, that you would leave these 2 quarterbacks out of the top 10 and throw 2 rookies into this. The fact is, I looked at Joe Burrow's stats. I looked at Justin Herbert's stats. And look, there's no doubt. Both of those guys, this is going to be a historic quarterback draft. The one we just had. Tua can play. Joe Burrow can play. Justin Herbert can play his ass off. He throws a great deep ball. He does. A great deep ball. He's got really good mobility. The Chargers have got a quarterback that is going to be a superstar. Joe Burrow, a superstar. Tua, likely a superstar. We've got 3 teams that have solved the quarterback problem, provided they don't fuck it up. But none of that matters. None of that matters. In football, this whole game is about wins and losses. Ben and Tom are a combined 16-3 with 45 touchdowns and 11 interceptions between them. I cannot see any way that you can possibly justify leaving either one of these quarterbacks off of this top 10 list and throwing these 2 rookies in. And look, as good as Joe Burrow's been, his statistics aren't close to either one of Roethlisberger or Tom Brady. Justin Herbert at least has a little more of an argument in that conversation. And I know you take weapons around a quarterback into account. But in large part, let's be honest, quarterbacks tend to make their weapons. Tom Brady did it for years in New England. Okay, he made guys like Wes Welker and Julian Edelman stars. All right, now those receivers there now are just so slow they can't separate from me or anybody watching this video. But I am floored that Chris Simms would leave these 2 quarterbacks, and for whatever reason, Chris Simms seems to have an issue with age. He's got an issue with age. I know both of these quarterbacks are slower now. I know they're not as flashy. I know they won't run around the pocket. But look, you got Lamar Jackson on your list. And both of these guys have had a better season than Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson hasn't been great this season, Chris Simms. He's been good-ish. Good-ish. Okay? Not even what I would say good. He's been pretty good. And he's had a noticeable drop from his MVP season last year. Again, two more quarterbacks that should have been ahead of somebody like Lamar Jackson. Look, you're basing this off of what has happened this season only. This season only. And the fact is, these two Super Bowl winning veteran quarterbacks have outperformed all three of those people. He's outperformed Ryan Tannehill, who you had on your list. And look, neither one of these guys were even number 11. He gave us number 11. Derek Carr. Look, I know Derek Carr's had a good season. John Gruden has got that Raiders team. They're wildly interesting. But, again, Derek Carr has not outplayed Roethlisberger or Tom Brady. Not by a long shot. I mean, outside of those two Saints games, Tom Brady has put on a clinic out there at his age. Roethlisberger's playing his ass off. Started a little slow, but he is killing it. And I cannot imagine that when you sit down and do these QB lists that you truly don't take wins and losses into account. Because isn't that it? That's what matters. That is what matters at the end of the day, Chris Simms. It's the number of rings. You don't think it matters? Ask Dan Marino. Black and white sports fans, I know this is a very different video, and I know it's a long video, but that is my thoughts. This is almost like a video podcast of my own here. But that is my thoughts on Chris Simms' mid-season QB top 10. I mean, what's going on? Why in the world would you have those two rookies ahead of two guys that are absolutely killing it right now? It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable, Chris Simms. Come on, do better. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.